Hello and welcome to our webinar today on comfort and consistency in hybrid cloud deployments. The premise today is that as businesses and decision makers are looking for ways to be more efficient, often that tends to include embracing the adaptability, efficiency, agility that can come from hybrid cloud deployments, making use of public cloud services to enhance or even to move workloads from traditional on-premise data centers. Or, of course, newer businesses might want to start completely in the public cloud, often then perhaps as they grow find themselves wanting to move some workloads back on-premise, either for maintenance, efficiency, privacy, or other data integrity requirements. And we believe here at Red Hat that we've got a really great proposition for consistency across hybrid cloud environments. Indeed, consistency across pretty much every environment. We've gone to great lengths to develop a portfolio which will deploy with the same levels of manageability, accessibility, security, whether you're doing that in your own data center on a physical or a virtual machine, or whether you're deploying into one of the big hyperscaler public clouds, or perhaps even into a more local cloud environment. And that's what I'd like to share with you today. Some of the reasons behind our decisions as Red Hat to do that, how we think this can benefit you and your businesses, and how this can help you to set up the right level of consistency and manageability for all your workloads as we move into a more hybrid future. Just to start with, kind of a fairly shocking couple of statistics, some research by Gartner into the marketplace and the sort of areas that businesses are spending their IT budgets on, concluded that around 40% of IT budgets are consumed just dealing with technical debt. So technical debt being all the management headaches and upgrades and integration problems associated with IT environments that have grown up over a period of time. And I've got experience of that. I used to work in data center environments where we were consistently looking for efficiencies, but we'd be building in environments that maybe had workloads that were even on mainframes or physical Unix systems, and looking to kind of integrate those with more modern environments that we're building out in virtualized servers on Windows or Linux. And now we're going a step further and we're moving things more into the public cloud. And this technical debt is following behind us and has to be managed. So 40% of IT budget consumed by technical debt, and that's compounding as we move forward. Gathering technical debt as we go, looking for more efficiencies, adopting more different technologies as we move forward. That tends to compound that. And on top of that, another piece of research by Bain Consulting showed that actually looking at transformation and digital technology, only 8% of companies globally, from the sample that was tested by Bain, only 8% of global companies have been able to achieve the business outcomes that they desired or thought they could get from investing in technology and digitalization and modernization. And what they particularly found, I think, which to me plays into the message that we're trying to work towards at Red Hat, is that the ones who won, those 8% who achieved their targeted business outcomes, were the ones who focused on simplifying, engaging their customers, and being looking for sort of transparent optimization of costs, and all that coming down to really simplification of systems and processes wherever possible. So what the study found was that it's really not about just investing in the latest technology or more technology to make things more efficient. It's about just as much, if not more, the people and process elements and the overall simplification. So kind of the more complex the IT environments that are available to us become, the more we need to really focus down on what are those business outcomes we need to achieve from our business, and how are we going to build, not how are we going to adopt technology to do that, but how are we going to build processes to do that. And I think that it's key that where we have these multiple different hybrid environments available to us, we need a level of abstraction that's going to give us simplicity and consistency across those in order to be efficient. If you just look at the multitude of different workloads that we're trying to integrate together to make a business service nowadays, and underneath that, the multitude of different environments where these things can run, and they can be ephemeral, or they can be ephemeral, here the day and gone tomorrow, or they can be more persistent workloads. They can be on premise, they can be in the cloud. They can have redundancy built into the application, or maybe that needs to be dealt with by the underlying virtualization platform or container platform or operating system. They integrate with so many different services, whether that's a messaging service or queuing service or identity service, and all these things need to be accessible whenever the applications or the users need them. And the more layers you put underneath that supporting it, the more complex it becomes. And that's one of the reasons why many companies moving to the cloud say, right, we're going to focus on one particular cloud provider and we're going to do everything there. But then they tend to find that there are some issues that come out of that approach as well. And some of the issues that you can find are, for example, if you focus on moving everything to one particular cloud provider, all of the cloud providers are quite open and honest about the fact that they deprecate services over time. They're all trying to improve what they're doing, give more functionality to end users, make that functionality more accessible, faster, more agile. And to do that, they have to keep changing things. It's only natural. We all do that. And on the terms and web conditions pages of the big cloud providers, if you look at Microsoft, AWS, Google, they'll all be quite open and honest about the fact that a messaging service might be deprecated and replaced with a new one, or APIs might change over time, and you need to build that into your thinking about your environments. And of course, if you, for example, find that you go with a cloud provider and then your cost structure changes and you find you have to use more services, it becomes very expensive, you think, oh, okay, I want to move some of that workload back on premise, or maybe I want to move that to another cloud provider, or maybe I want to have two cloud providers side by side for redundancy and security purposes. There's not a level of consistency across all those environments, so you might end up using a different messaging service, a different identity service in each of those environments. And all these things add up to that technical debt that it's taking up your IT spend and reducing your efficiency. And not only that, but where we are struggling to control interfaces, struggling to control virtual instances and data that's running in the cloud because we haven't perhaps got visibility of all of that, then we start to get into issues with regulatory compliance, and potentially leaving ways open for bad actors to come in, steal data, publicize that data. And we've seen an increasing number of data breaches over the years, resulting in significant fines from the bodies that have been put in place to control this and to try and make data more secure in the cloud. So what this is saying really is that if you don't control your environments and your data wherever they are, you're laying yourself open to potentially very large fines from the regulators if anything should happen and any of that data should be breached and made public. So something to consider, and to consider the fact that a level of simplification, a level of consistency across your hybrid environments allows you then to maintain control of those environments and have a set of processes that your people can understand and can replicate across different parts of the world, different cloud providers, to make sure that you can be consistent and keep a good check on the security and the integrity of the environments that might be open to perhaps bad actors coming in and breaching those. Part of that risk is this thing, we used to call it virtual machine sprawl, when it was looking at virtual machine environments. This is just multiplied so much when we start talking about containers and cloud instances. It's so much more difficult to contain that sprawl, to know, has somebody spun up a serverless instance or a container in the cloud to do some development work on. Has that been shut down? Is it still running? There's a security risk there. There's also a much increased risk of lack of cost control when you're talking in the cloud, because of course now you in a public cloud environment, if you're going pay as you go, you could be paying for compute, you could be paying for storage, you could be paying for network bandwidth, data transfer. There's a lot more areas where cost can come into play, so controlling that sprawl becomes even more important. And the best way to do that, as I said, is, in our view, to have a consistent way of managing your environments across the hybrid cloud. And when it comes to data, if you want to be able to span your applications across multiple clouds, back in your data center as well, you need a layer of consistency for that data that allows you to move it around so that the data is where the application needs it when it comes to call on it. And also, if you're using multiple clouds and private data centers for redundancy, you need to be able to ship that data around without incurring large costs or complexity of how you do that. All of the cloud providers naturally make it easy for you to import data into their public clouds. It's pretty universal that it's not as easy to get that data out as to get it in. It's like the department store that has the escalators on the way up the store and then the stairs on the way back down. And we all do it. We want you to come in and work with us, and we're maybe put less focus on how you actually get out again. So a consistent layer of the data layer can really help you in these scenarios. So why am I here from Red Hat talking about this? Why do I think this is important? I think that a platform that's built from the ground up on a consistent layer is what enables you to achieve this manageability, this visibility, this simplicity that's going to allow you to succeed in transformation across a hybrid cloud. And as Red Hat, we've built what we think is a fairly unique approach to cloud service. I'm really excited about this. We work with partners and competitors and businesses and customers from all walks of life, in IT and outside. And I think that at the moment, Red Hat has a unique proposition in that we have a different approach. We've got a comprehensive platform that goes everything from the storage and the operating system all the way up to the development tools and services that your developers are using to create business value. And we build that on open source technology. So you could go and do that yourself using community software. But many studies have proven that that is not the most efficient way to do it at scale in a business where you have to support an SLA. Unlike DIY stacks, we offer an opinionated way of using open source with software that is curated and supported by an organization that's been doing this for 25 years and is fully embedded in all those open source communities. I can't stress this enough. Everyone's doing open source nowadays. Red Hat started it. We're the ones who have the experience and the governance in those open source communities, and we're the only one who really develops everything upstream in the community. So we've got hands-on with that code all the way from the developers in the community down to the support engineers who are supporting it in your business. If you have a problem with a library in an application, Red Hat has got the engineer who can talk to the support people who can work with you to fix that. And equally, if you're pushing the boundaries, Red Hat's got the engineers who can partner with you to build that functionality into those open source projects that you need for your business. So it really isn't like anyone else. Even the big cloud providers who a lot of them embrace open source technologies, but the unique message that Red Hat has is that we offer a unified and consistent experience across all of those clouds. We've worked really hard to build partnerships with AWS, with Google, with Microsoft, obviously with IBM, Alibaba. We're working very hard on these things to make sure that you have that level of consistency for your deployments. And it's all built on Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Red Hat Enterprise Linux is the key to everything. To some extent, the operating system is becoming commoditized, and unpaid Linux, free Linux, is the largest operating system by deployments in the public cloud. But of course, a lot of that is for non-business critical applications. When you look at paid Linux for business critical applications, RHEL is by far the largest, and there's a reason for that. It's because businesses find that when they need to scale, when they need to provide support SLAs, when they need to be consistent, it pays to have to work with someone who specializes in doing that, to make sure that the operating system is fit for purpose and covers all of those key points that you need to be successful. So pictorially, Red Hat Enterprise Linux is the core of our digital transformation portfolio. On Red Hat Enterprise Linux, everything is built. Even with OpenShift, the RHEL Core OS, the ephemeral operating system that runs the containers at OpenShift, is built on the same code, the same interfaces as Red Hat Enterprise Linux. So as you move into containerizing your applications and you need to bring some more monolithic applications with you on a Linux instance, RHEL, Red Hat Enterprise Linux, will make sure that you have the same foundation as you're running in your container platform if you're running OpenShift. And of course, we can give you the consistent data layer, we can give you all the development services on top of that as well, all built on Red Hat Enterprise Linux. And then on the left hand side, we give you all the management tooling that you need to have a consistent management layer across all of that deployment underlying your workloads. We've just had Red Hat Summit 2022, and it was delivered virtually and in person for the first time for several years. Really exciting. And one of the key focuses of Red Hat Summit this year was Red Hat Enterprise Linux 9, just been released GA, and with a much more focused message around deploying from the data center all the way out to the edge, being consistently manageable across all those platforms, and making things as easy as possible with things like the image builder service that allows you to automate the building of images for use in the data center and the cloud in the same way. Things like Red Hat Enterprise Linux system roles, which automate your deployment for you and are very easy to program into automated deployment pipelines. And underlying all these is the code of Ansible automation, which is also key to our message across hybrid cloud, to give you that consistent layer of automation across all your teams. Proven benefit of Ansible is the power that it has to be accessible to all the different verticals within your business. So automation code can be shared, and a storage engineer can write some Ansible automation code, which is then understandable by a network engineer and can be deployed as part of a as part of a build-out. We're seeing so much traction with Ansible, so much excitement around Ansible, and all of Red Hat Enterprise Linux automation and management with system roles, image builder, satellite, insights is all built around Ansible as the automation engine. So, summing up the benefits of a consistent foundation with Red Hat Enterprise Linux, it allows you that level of consistency that you can achieve from building on RHEL allows you to deliver your workloads faster with less effort, to reduce friction, to increase your agility, and to deliver all your applications, all your workloads across any footprint that you choose, provided that you've deployed on the Red Hat tooling in those environments. And we've gone to great lengths to make sure the Red Hat tooling is available to you, and Red Hat Enterprise Linux is available to you in the widest range of deployment choices. So just to kind of put some of that into perspective a bit, some of the things that we've been working with our partners and other businesses that we work with alongside Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Did you know, for example, that we've worked with companies like SAP and Microsoft to optimize the Red Hat Enterprise Linux experience for your mission critical workloads? So RHEL for SAP gives you that enhanced Red Hat Enterprise Linux that's engineered to work ideally for supporting your SAP workloads. Likewise with Microsoft SQL Server. Red Hat Enterprise Linux, we've worked together with Microsoft to make sure it's the optimal Linux platform for running SQL Server. And this is the kind of thing that we're doing all the time with our partner relationships, with independent software vendors, hardware, and other partners that we work with. A huge ecosystem of partners that Red Hat is engaged with. And sometimes people say, well, what's our subscription paying for? We don't use support very much. That's because Red Hat in the back end is doing all this work with our partners. It's doing all this curation of the code so it doesn't go wrong, so you don't need to use support as much. But if you do need to use support, we're there for you. Class-leading enterprise support for Red Hat Enterprise Linux. And it's not just problems. You can come to us with questions about how do you deploy your systems in this environment, and we can help you. We have knowledge bases, but we can also help you through support cases and talking to engineers directly to do these kind of things. So tremendous value for your subscription. And not only that, but that subscription is portable. So say you want to purchase a bunch of subscriptions that gives you a direct support relationship with Red Hat rather than maybe going pay-as-you-go with Red Hat Enterprise Linux in AWS. You can purchase those for use in your on-premise data centers, but we then have a process that allows you to port those subscriptions into the cloud. And we've done a lot of work to simplify that process. Interestingly, we surveyed customers a couple of years ago, and at the time only 16% of customers were aware that they could do this. So this is something we really want to publicize, particularly as we move towards hybrid clouds. Something called Red Hat Cloud Access, and it allows you to move your on-premise subscriptions, not just for RHEL actually, for a variety of our key products, from on-premise data centers into the cloud, and we're making that much more seamless for you to do. And not only that, but we've vastly improved the tooling that allows you to manage your systems, but also your subscriptions. So you can, at a glance, see where you have your Red Hat Enterprise Linux subscriptions deployed, whether they're on-premise or in the cloud, how many you've got, which systems they're assigned to. And we allow you to do this now with a single registration. There's no need to register all of the systems and say where they are. Automatic software allows you to do this, and as soon as the instances spin up, they can register and they'll tell you where they are. Insights, Red Hat Insights, is something that is included with all subscriptions of Red Hat Enterprise Linux. It gives you a level of proactive support automatically for your systems based on all the experience that we've got of supporting Red Hat Enterprise Linux across different environments. Insights uses that together with knowledge, for example, about driver support and hardware compatibility from our hardware partners. All this is in the database of Insights. It automatically scans your system, comes up with any issues that you might need to deal with, and then allows you, powered by Ansible, to actually automatically remediate those issues. And this can take account of security configurations as well. So OpenSCAP, the security framework, is also included with Red Hat Enterprise Linux and allows you to tie down your systems for PCI DSS, HIPAA, these regulatory frameworks that need you to make particular configuration changes can be automated with OpenSCAP, with Insights, with Ansible. And these are just some of the benefits that you get from deploying on this consistent foundation. Seamless updates and upgrades, kernel live patching, in-place upgrades, all these things are available with Red Hat Enterprise Linux. There's some links in the presentation to how you can see demonstrations and learn more about these things. Developers, we have developer subscriptions, we have application streams that allow access to the very latest versions of the open source tooling used by developers, and of course containers. You don't have to deploy OpenShift to work with containers, you can do that directly from Red Hat Enterprise Linux, and you can do this at no cost with access to most of our products from developers.redhat.com, as well as no cost Red Hat Enterprise Linux subscriptions for developers to allow you to make sure that you have a consistent pipeline across a consistent operating system and tooling, all the way from a developer's laptop or a cloud instance all the way to that production instance. And that's something that we've put a lot of effort into again over the last few years, because we've seen the traction amongst developers for free versions of Linux, because obviously it's free. So, but the difficulty is then if your company's made a decision to be fully supported on Red Hat Enterprise Linux and your developers are developing on a free version of Linux, then you lose that consistency between the development environment and the production environment. By enabling free access to our Red Hat products through developers.redhat.com and developer subscriptions, that means we can give you that peace of mind that your developers don't have to pay for those development instances, but they'll still be consistent with your production systems. So overall, it's about consistency, it's about flexibility, and those things allow you to have control, confidence and freedom as you move your business into a more hybrid environment and seek those efficiencies of digital transformation. Going right back to the research at the beginning that said the people who succeed at digital transformation are the ones who focus on the business, focus on the people and processes, and use simplification to enable those people and processes across the business. We believe that Red Hat Enterprise Linux is the operating system that gives you that consistent platform that allows you then to simplify your processes and keep control of your hybrid environments. The value of Red Hat continues through all of our products. I talked a bit about the value of your subscription, how it's not just the ability to pick up the phone and make a support call. It's far more than that. The community of Red Hat's been involved hands-on in the open source development communities from the start, and all our code is developed upstream, which means it's fully open. And Red Hat Enterprise Linux continues to be the foundation of the entire Red Hat portfolio. So one of the things I love about working for Red Hat is that over the years, as we've grown from a few hundred people in EMEA to a large multi-thousand, multi-billion-dollar company, multi-thousand people, multi-billion-dollar revenue company and part of IBM, we've retained that foundation in open source and open standards, and that goes through all of our portfolio and through the way that we partner with our customers. You can see some examples of the partnership that we've had with our customers and the success we have with our customers. A few examples here, even more if you look for customer success stories on the Red Hat public pages. And then lastly, I've added some links in the presentation which you should be able to access, which take you to the press releases from the latest Red Hat Summit, which will allow you to see all the latest announcements from Red Hat Summit. There's also links to more information about hybrid cloud and the cloud experience with Red Hat Enterprise Linux, and then lastly the product pages on our public site, which have lots of useful information. There's plenty more out there, there's lots on YouTube, and feel free to reach out to a Red Hat representative to find out more. So thanks for listening today. I hope the message has resonated with you. I feel really strongly about this. Hate to see customers struggling with trying to manage inconsistent environments when we believe that we've really worked hard to put together a portfolio that we can work in partnership with our customers to deploy and deliver and grow into the more modern hybrid environments. Thank you very much.